this Willy Wonka is the story of the beginning of Willy Wonka and the ambitious young chocolatier who hasn't made it yet, who's full of ambition, full of joy, full of a hat full of dreams, but isn't quite where he wants to be yet.
I did watch the earlier films, and then I thought, how do we make this different? But I definitely thought the key was to keep the sort of curmudgeonly element of the envelope. This is my speciality.
Noodle, I'd say she's like a tough character. She doesn't want to open up her heart to anybody, but when she meets Willy, she kind of cracks, and she's like, oh, well, somebody loves me, or somebody likes me, and so she kind of cracks, and she's just like, no, maybe I can bring my love out to other people too.
Wonka is a wonderful character. We have our own iconic actor playing Willy, Timothée Chalamet. He is amazing. Here we are on day 70, and every day he brings something new to the table. He, like Willy, is an artist, is passionate. He, like Willy, is mischievous with a twinkle in his eye. He is soulful and beautiful, bringing him to life in the most vivid and magical way. I cannot think of anyone else today who could play Willy and bring him to life the way that Timmy has.
You're the funny little man who's been fucked.
Funny little man. How dare you?
Wonka is, I really, really like him, I have to say. He's the right mixture of kooky and serious and real, and then completely, like, of course, sometimes I look at him on set with his top hat and his frock coat, and I love the backstory, how Paul explained who he is and why he is. It's just so clever because we never really kind of knew that before, and now there's a whole kind of explanation, and the costume and his look kind of comes from that.
The fundamental thing about Willy Wonka and his whole costume is that by the time you meet him at the beginning of the film, he's been wandering the world in some of these clothes. He's owned all of those clothes, and he's been wandering the world, sometimes to hot countries where he wouldn't be wearing his velvet coat, and then other times to colder places where he would, and more.
There was more training that went into this than maybe anything I'd ever worked on, because there's an element of song and dance that you have to spend months prepping. Obviously for the songs you gotta record them, pre-record them, and for the dance numbers, I've talked about it before, but I was really humbled by, it's not simply about raw expression. You really got to stay in the center of frame on some shots. Some shots you might be killing it, but another dancer might have messed up. All sorts of variables that you wouldn't really consider in a A-B talking scene, So it was more challenging, but ultimately more rewarding than maybe something more traditional.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. There appears to be a manufacturing error. Nobody eat the flowers.
Gosh, this is probably one of the most magical experiences in my career/life, and it's just, to be able to design and make the chocolates for such a story in a film. This is the most creative, quirky, most extraordinary chocolatier in the entire world. So yeah, for me to have this job of creating these chocolates is just a dream come true and such an honor.
We wanted to make a film that would stand as a companion piece to the book and the 1971 movie, and not sort of have anything that would disrupt your enjoyment of those pieces. And we were interested in telling the story of Willy Wonka before he was famous and before he had the chocolate factories, when he was a sort of young man, first going out into the world and hoping to find a place which rewarded talent and hard work, and is startled and disappointed to discover the world is a tougher place than he first imagined.
Because most of my work was motion capture, I didn't really have much interaction with Timothée, except one day when, as an experiment, we tried doing motion capture in a tent to the side of the set while he was actually acting. And I did meet him that day, and I liked him a lot. He was great and funny.
The message of Wonka is to never give up on your dreams, and it's meant sincerely and heartfelt. It's not some tired Hollywood idea that we're trying to sell you, and it's got nothing to do with me. It's got everything to do with Paul King, the writer-director, who's come up with a very clever origin story for Willy Wonka. unexpected, and at least from my perspective, really came through on his promise to, you know, create something that makes you want to dream and makes you, whether you're a kid or an adult, get in touch with your inner child and remember, you know, what things are that make you who you are to begin with, which we, as we get older, kind of lose sight of.
Save yourself! Judgment